guys, welcome back to Kath and Mikey Make a Podcast. I'm Kat, and this is my co-host, Mikey.
Hi.
What are we going to talk about today?
She doesn't know what we're going to talk about today.
No, I do. I was just giving you the opportunity.
The host?
No. Today we're talking about The Wailing, or Goksung in Korean. Written and directed by Na Hong-jin. This was when it came out, I believe it was in 2016. It was both a commercial and a critical success. I think the budget was like $8 million, and it made $51.3 million at the box office. So I'd say that sounds like a success.
I think $50 million is high for a horror movie in general. It's definitely high for me.
Could do a lot with that.
Good job on those pronunciations, by the way. They sound correct.
I don't know if they are.
Shouldn't have told me that.
Yeah. What do you think about this movie in general?
It's great. It's great.
Podcast over. Thanks, guys. No, yeah, I thought so too. I thought it was pretty good. It was pretty great, actually. Yeah, I would say great.
I don't know that I love it, but I can say that it's great. And it's horror, really well executed. It doesn't make you... It never feels way too dour or self-serious, yet when it's scary, it feels scary.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because I've been watching not very good movies, especially for this podcast.
Yeah,
and our last movie was a quote unquote superhero horror movie.
That wasn't a horror movie, right?
A horror movie at all.
That was scary.
As we've talked about before.
I didn't like the part where the bear... You remember?
Shut up. But here we are with this movie. I don't know. I thought that the movie always kept you on your toes.
Always.
I never knew what was really happening. I even felt like the main character, where he just went with whatever they kept telling him and whatever gossip or rumor was happening. You were like, oh, is that it? Wait, is this it? Wait, what kind of movie is this?
One of his faults, I think it turns out to be.
Yeah.
Because it recurs so much that he just takes what people says at face value that you realize, okay, this is intentional.
No, definitely. And even towards... But I like that it has to... At the end, it decides the plot. It decides the ending of the movie. The fact that he can't even choose for himself what he has to do. Or not even that he ends up making a choice, but that he's so... he wavers so much between what one side is telling him and what the other side is telling him, to his detriment and his family's demise.
Yeah.
Final demise. This is a full-on spoiler review, so if you want to watch the movie, and you should do it spoiler-free, because it really...
By the way, his family dies, which she just said. So this message came a little late.
No, yeah, so...
But it is in the title, so...
It isn't in the title.
It is, yeah.
It's called The Wailing.
No, the title for this, what we're doing.
Okay, I see. The title.
This isn't called
podcast.
The Wailing. Do you want to call it The Wailing?
Well, it will be in the podcast title. Never mind. So let's just start. I think the movie, and purposely, changes a bit of... Within the horror genre, it keeps changing what kind of horror movie it's going to be.
At one point, it feels like Tucker and Dale. You ever see that?
Tucker and Dale?
Yeah, I think that's what it's called. It has, he was K2SO. He's, from Firefly. God, what's his name? Oh, yeah, he's in Doom Patrol. He's, Mr. Nobody.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's in like a horror comedy movie, and that's what this feels like at first. Like it feels kind of silly and fun.
At some points, I think it really shows too what kind of character this is. Like your average Joe character, you know. He's kind of like the character's name. It's Jong-gu. Jong-gu seems kind of like not to be very good at his job as a policeman.
He's pretty pathetic, actually.
He is.
He seems really inept. At several moments I thought, okay, you need to grab them. This person needs to be detained. And he was just like, whoa, slips on a banana peel.
Yeah, there might as well have been a banana peel on the floor somewhere for him to fall onto and stumble.
Didn't need one. He's such a natural.
Yeah, he doesn't need anything to help him do that. But I also, it also kind of feels like it changes from, at first you're like, is this like an infection zombie movie? And then you're like, oh no, this is a ghost movie. No, this is a demonic possession movie. Oh crap, which is what it ends up being in the end. Like it's more like a demonic possession type of movie, rather than. But it's all of it at once, and it's very complex, even in what kind of genre within horror it wants to be, which is it's good. It's not like it doesn't know what it wants to be. Yeah. It's more like it wants you to think that it doesn't know. No, the movie's not confused, but you're confused. Yes. You as the viewer.
And I wanted to bring that up. It does make you feel confused, but that's not a fault. No. That's part of what keeps you on your toes. Like, it never feels like it's being inconsistent within itself. It just feels like there's information that you don't know yet. And I think for the most part, it provides satisfying answers. And then there's some stuff at the end that thoroughly confused me. But I don't, like, if anything, I think that's on me. Like the main character, I find myself indecisive about what he should have done. Or what would have happened otherwise.
But we can start at the beginning, kind of recap, and keep on going. At the beginning, we see like this very disturbing scene. A little bit after, we kind of see the day-to-day of
slice of life
of Jong-gu and his family. I think you commented before this that for at least from the Korean movies we've watched, they seem to be very good at providing this type of slice of life to show you how a character is. They really do know how to do this whole thing of show, don't tell. And I feel like a lot of American cinema could take, a page from their book.
Definitely. But I also said, I'm not sure if this is a Korean filmmaker thing or just a good filmmaker thing. And when I think about the other recent good horror movie that we watched, which was Hereditary, I think they actually also did a good job at depicting the characters day to day and depicting what they're all about, show, don't tell. So I think it's a good filmmaker thing.
It's just that it happens that all these good Korean movies we're getting, at least here in the West, happen
to have that in common.
To be good, actually good filmmakers.
Yeah, definitely. And I like that. I totally lost my train of thought.
It's okay. We see this very disturbing scene, which kind of sets the tone of the movie. I did take a note here, and then I kept noticing that during the entire movie, it's raining. It's raining outside. It's almost always raining. It's probably because this is like a small rural village in the countryside, which usually surrounded by mountains tends to rain a lot. Yeah. But I even thought at some point, is the rain even like a character in itself? Or am I don't know if I was going too far with that. Whoa. But it kind of really set the tone of it's like rain can be comforting, but also rain can be so ominous and destructive.
It's usually rain in movies. It's like, okay, time for a funeral, time for a character death, time for a sad breakup.
Yeah, but not here. Or maybe here that's just the movie. It really just sets it all up for it's like, okay, get ready for this pessimistic tale.
But there are breaks in the rain, but I think almost every time it starts, they make a point to show like the rain has started. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think in this movie's case it's more ominous. It's like a sign of things to come. Mm-hmm. But before we get to the first scene of horror in this movie, I wanted to say that the stuff that they set up with his daughter is really great, and you don't realize that it's what the movie hinges on while they're doing it, because they're making you love this kid, but not in a way that a lesser movie would do it, where they kind of paint the picture of this idyllic daughter-father relationship where she's just like perfect and like a little too cute, like it makes you sick.
Yeah, like almost not infantilizing because she's a kid, but yeah, I know what you mean when it's like he'll do anything for her.
Oh, sweetie, I love you so much. I love you too, Daddy. Like, that wasn't the dialogue.
Yeah, like,
actually.
And the kid kind of doesn't have any personality, not really, besides she's a kid and she's cute. But here,
yes.
it's you were like, oh, that's a fun kid.
Yeah, no, she's a great actress, by the way, which she gets to show off a bunch in this movie. But yeah, at some points, while they're showing their relationship, he's actually kind of bored, you know? Like, it's just so normal for him. But there's still those moments where they're having a quiet conversation and he's, like, smiling at her. But it's not, like, it's never too much. It's just the right amount. And I think it's perfect.
I thought it was interesting that in the beginning, I don't know if you remember the scene where she's buying stuff from the store.
She's trying on the little pink...
the little pink thing, which is relevant towards the end. Jungkook calls her freakishly beautiful at some point, and which it's kind of interesting.
It's like, you're pretty, freakishly pretty.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting when she actually becomes like not freakish, but an actual monster towards the end. It's kind of like a little bit of a foreshadowing. No fault of her own, but kind of a bit of foreshadowing there, but like very subtle and just about right.
Yeah.
So we can go back to that initial scene, which is kind of big shock moment. With this guy just like barely conscious, covered in boils. They tell you it's like he's full of mushrooms. He's like, hi, and you're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And you see that weird bird's nest in the middle, so it kind of hints probably at like there's some sort of supernatural element.
It looked ritualistic. It kind of reminded me of The Witch.
Yeah. And that scene where he shows he's like looking at the dried flowers. Do you remember that scene?
Yeah.
Showing the dried flowers, which kind of like, in the end, you remember that again. It's like, so it kind of explains towards the end of what actually happened there. That it was probably that they just didn't listen to what the lady in white was telling them. And they went in and didn't let the...
yeah, maybe.
Yeah, but we can talk about that later when we actually discuss the end. And they also bring this idea, like, that happens, and then this other incident happens where this lady sets a house on fire. She's also covered in boils and trying to bite everyone. So that's when you kind of feel like, is this like the infection zombie movie?
Yeah, I never felt that. If it was a sort of infection, I definitely thought it was mystical in nature.
Yeah, definitely, because there were also they were kind of hinting with the stories, and they show you this whole tale of this guy that with the deer and how he sees that demon.
Yeah. Which was creepy. Like, it creeped me out, and at the same time, as he was crawling over the log, I thought, oh, this is a monster, that's kind of goofy. And then the movie immediately makes fun of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It makes fun of itself. Because it's like, haha.
He's like, oh, scary, right? He's like, that's bullshit.
Yeah. Which, I don't know, comes to show how great storytelling is happening in the movie. Because it keeps giving you facts. And like I said, it's the same as how the character is behaving. You keep getting these facts, and you keep saying like, oh wait, so this is the bad guy. And since the beginning, they're telling you, oh, it's the Japanese. He's the bad guy. It's that Japanese bad guy. But
from the very beginning, which cast doubt over it, when from the beginning they're like, oh, it's definitely that person.
And you're like, oh, it can't be that.
Yeah.
It can't be that guy. And even I took down like, oh, I wrote down like, oh, is this the idea of the other? Like, you start trying to like analyze the movie, like the foreigner, you know, is this like a metaphor for xenophobia, which I know some people talk about, but I think that's like reading, like, I think it's a red herring. It wants to trick you into thinking like, no, this is actually like collective hysteria, and this is all in people's minds. And it's interesting that they introduced that from the beginning to make you think you're smart towards the end.
No. I didn't think that. I didn't think I was smart. From the beginning, how you said it keeps you on your toes, and like how I just mentioned it being self-aware enough to like make fun of that first moment when you see that demon. It's self-aware, but not ashamed of itself. It's self-aware in the right way, where they're pointing out what seems like their own flaws, not because they're trying to get ahead of people making fun of them, but because they have something up their sleeve. And it's like, okay, well, if that's not it, and you're pointing out that that's not it, what else do you have to show me? And it keeps showing you things. Like, this movie does have meat. It does have somewhere that it's trying to take you. I think that's great. I mean, comparing that to what we watched last week, again, New Mutants, that was its problem. There was just nothing in there. There was nothing to dig into. No,
nothing to bite into
and nothing to guess. It was all like, okay, that's going to happen. Now this is going to happen. Now this is going to happen. It's just really refreshing to watch a movie where you don't know
what comes next.
Even
if you guess, or even if you think you know, you're surprised anyway.
I guessed completely wrong.
No, me too. You keep getting all these throughout the movie. You keep getting all like these rumors of like, oh, maybe the Japanese man, or the Jap, call him in the subtitles.
Yeah, the Jap.
Like he probably raped that woman who killed a family and killed herself, and then like, in a dream sequence, I was surprised that it was a dream sequence. Where he meets the first time the lady in white, who I believe she's referred to as Myung, which means no name in Korean. She tells him like, that guy's a ghost.
Yeah.
He's a ghost. And so there's like this other thing like, oh, he's a ghost, or like a blood-sucking ghost, which is I believe it's very present in like Chinese and Korean folklore, the Yang-chi or Gang-chi, which is the blood-sucking ghost, kind of like a vampire.
Which makes it seem even more unbelievable and like Bigfooty, you know?
Right.
Which I got the feeling when they took that guy into the forest to show where the Japanese man lived. Okay. To show where the Japanese man lived. it felt like 3 kids going out looking for Bigfoot. Like, it
Right,
felt silly. But when they find the house, that is the turning point of the movie. That's when everything goes to shit.
Yeah. I was surprised to see.
But I wanted to say...
It was kind of funny, but at the same time horrible. Where he's like, I hope you get struck by lightning, and he gets struck by lightning.
That was so crazy.
It was insane.
In a movie, again, going back to Hereditary, in a movie where everything feels grounded and people react realistically to things, it's so bonkers when something supernatural actually happens or something unlikely happens. Like, it gives it actual meaning when everything else feels real. That's so important in a movie like this.
Yeah, and after that, that's what takes us to the hospital, and we get to see...
where the guy from the beginning
from the beginning, and in that scene, I wanted to comment on that. Like, I thought the editing there was really solid, because they do a cutback. One of those cutbacks.
Yeah, to when he saw him earlier.
But it's not that they don't trust us to remember, like other lesser movies. In this one, it's like kind of like I don't know, it's a shock factor / I don't even know how to cut. It looks almost artistic to me, because what they do, it's they show you the guy having like the seizure, like the horrible seizure. And then they do, like, the quick cutback of the guy just, like, sitting there, covered in boils and, like, unconscious.
And they do it in complete silence.
Yes. And then they cut it back to him, like, where he has seizures and he breaks his back and, like, starts oozing blood. He dies. And then all of a sudden they cut to food immediately after. And I don't know if they were, like, he was... the director was trying to, like, trigger some sort of gut reaction in me, but it worked. Because to cut back from, like, a guy, like, gushing blood out of everywhere to, like, I think it was, like, like, sizzling food in the middle of a table. That's kind of...
Yeah. But also I appreciated that cutback because his face was so bloody and messy at the beginning that... Okay, I thought that was him, but it's nice to have confirmation. I felt like I was realizing who it was at the same time as the main character. Yeah, that's a good thing.
It was, it kind of felt like it was a memory more than anything.
Yeah, which I think was assisted by, like, them cutting out all the noise from the hospital in the moment that they showed him.
Yeah.
That made it a lot cooler. Like, all the air got sucked out of the room, and then back to the mess.
Yes.
So yeah, good editing.
And then when they're in the restaurant, when then they go back to showing the boils on a lady, that you're like, oh shit, that one's
she's
next.
But they do make a point a lot of times to show the main character eating and drinking, and then they even bring it up later in the movie when he's getting acupuncture. They're like, you need to cut back on your drinking. And later on, the shaman is like, hey, if you eat or drink the wrong things, this is going to backfire. Do you have any idea what that's about?
I'm not sure. I didn't look into that as much, but at least not into the ritual part. Although, usually in certain types of rituals, I'm being very general here.
Sure.
Because I don't know as much as from that side of culture. But I have heard in other types of rituals, generally, we'll hear from what I know, it's just like Santeria and this side of the Caribbean. Sometimes it requires that you don't eat certain things.
I know
say it's bad
ayahuasca
juju.
ceremonies require you to purge.
Yeah.
Like, you have to drink tobacco, some sort of tobacco tea, and it makes you, like, vomit. And, you have to, like, eat right and then empty your system, and then you take the ayahuasca.
It might be part of, part of just, like, cleansing. How, how food can clog up your system. If you don't eat right, it's just part of that. It's very... it's more instinctive than anything too. Probably no science backing it up. I don't know if in the context of ayahuasca, but there might be no necessarily any, quote unquote science, like actual research involved, but it's more of an instinctive thing that you eat something, it's wrong, and your instinct is to just try to cleanse yourself in a way or another.
There have been studies on people doing on people fasting, and how their mind does get sharper when they're in that state, and so it does have an effect what you put in your body. Like when you eat Burger King and someone's like, let's go dancing. Oh. That's a mating ritual that I'm not ready for after I have a Big Mac.
They don't sell that on Burger King.
They don't?
Big Mac?
Oh, yeah.
You mean a Whopper?
A Big King Whopper.
A Whopper or Whopper Jr.
Can you tell I don't really go to Burger King that much?
No, me neither. Even as a kid, I would go to McDonald's.
She's lying to you. Okay. It's really messed up of you to break trust with our audience.
Moving on, we kind of start seeing that Hyo-jin starts showing symptoms of this malady.
His daughter, right?
Yes. And start talking about feverish nightmares, having these nightmares of a strange man trying to get in. Eating fish when she never eats fish.
Which is a hint when they make you think it's the woman in white later. Mm-hmm. Because when I felt like I had decided, oh, it's her, she's the real threat, mm-hmm. I was like, then why did she see a man? Mm-hmm. They leave little clues in there to cast out. And by the end, I still don't know, but still, yeah, continue.
And then basically, Jung-gu has made up his mind, and he goes to the Japanese man's place, basically does an illegal search that I don't condone, and brings up a deacon, not even a priest, he brings a deacon. I guess he brings the deacon because he can translate.
Yeah.
And, it's just like a mess.
It's a mess. And the dog gets loose.
Yeah, and then...
I was laughing when the dog got loose because it played in slow motion.
Oh, yeah, that part was kind of funny, and until he started, hitting the dog.
Did you notice the dog was barking in Korean?
What?
It is a weird bark that it was doing. I guess a Japanese man owned it, so maybe it was barking in Japanese, but American dogs don't bark like that.
What?
More research is required. I'll give you that.
Oh. I
stand by what I said.
Okay. I don't even know how to respond to this.
I can't even do it. It was so weird.
It was just a huge mastiff.
It was weird, though.
It's a huge dog that barks loud.
Yeah, but the barks were they were cut off. They were short. This isn't the point of the movie. It's not even important. I thought the dog barked weird.
I was more horrified when he picked an axe and started hitting the dog. Well, I guess it wasn't... He wasn't trying to kill the dog. He was trying to mess things up. And then the dog...
At that point, I was getting really concerned that I was going to hate the main character.
Me too.
But they never took it far enough that I hated him.
No, I think at some point you kind of start suspecting wait, is he actually the bad guy? And because you start feeling I don't know, I guess to the credit
sympathy with him.
Yeah, to the credit of the actor that plays the Japanese man.
Yeah, excellent.
You start feeling bad for the guy. And even if you know that he might be the villain here, even if there are clues, you start seeing him more as a human character. Vulnerable, especially after that scene where, he's being chased.
No, yeah. That's where I felt the most bad.
Here, but
That was like a dagger in my heart.
Yeah.
Seeing him like try to get away, because at that point I was pretty convinced that he was a good guy, and it's from the moment he asks him, "What are you doing here?" and he says, "If I told you, you wouldn't believe me." I thought, okay,
Right.
he's trying to protect everybody.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, and this is a misunderstanding, and so that's when I started to worry that I was going to hate the main character because he was going to kill a good man.
Mm-hmm.
But they never strayed into that territory. They kept his hands clean for the most part. It's just he wanted to save his daughter.
Yes, but no, yeah, and there's the scene where he starts like bawling and crying.
Yep.
And until the Japanese man falls onto their car, and they throw his dead body off a ridge.
Yep.
I wasn't feeling sympathy for the main character then.
No, I don't mean that his hands are literally clean, like, or that he did nothing wrong. I mean that he did not kill the man himself. I thought the woman in white killed him.
Yeah. It's what
but
is suggested.
I don't know what that was, honestly. Maybe he was pretending to die. You know? Like, if I fall on their windshield now, they're going to think the threat is gone and they're going to stop pursuing me.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah. It was a trick, after all.
It was a trick.
And,
Got me.
And, like, I want to say, like you mentioned before, the actress that plays Hyo-jin can get really scary. That girl has range.
Amazing.
And, like, the whole possession part where she's just, like, yelling and cursing, and it's kind of like The Exorcist at times, but doesn't go the full gimmicky costumey thing. Like, turning heads and vomiting.
It's disturbing, but
it's
only
just
because
real enough.
You know how sweet this girl was to begin with.
Yeah, it's very disturbing, but it feels real.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like when later you see on the TV, like, oh, it's just like mushroom poisoning. Like, you're trying to give it like a very grounded explanation. It makes you doubt. It makes you doubt whether it's supernatural or not. It's a mixture of all this info they're throwing at
elements.
you. So on one side you're like, oh, it is a possession. Look at her, but at the same time you're like, well, there are things that make people go crazy and act this way, and then you see the chase scene. You put it all together, so you have like two stories or two theories, better yet, that are just like running through your brain at the same time.
Yeah.
And
but it never feels like too much.
No.
Yeah. I thought a great bit of acting by her was, there are a few parts, but the first moment where it really stood out to me was when she was sick and she was thrashing on the ground, and she went from being in a scary dream to noticing her dad was there to crying. And her crying was so realistic, and the way she like buries herself in her dad, it was really sad to watch. And again, I almost cried at the scene where he reunites with her at the hospital. After
that he comes in and he's like all covered in blood, and
he's
she
all
starts
messed
crying,
and he asks,
you think it's
like,
getting
4
better.
times, "Are you okay?" And she kept saying yes as she was crying, like as if she knew how bad it was.
Oh, yeah. Looking back,
yeah. Yeah, and she was sorry.
Her whole, somehow this girl just managed to scare me more than the blood-sucking ghost with red glowing eyes.
Really? She scared you?
Not scary as in, I'm scared. More as in, how would I say? More as in, it was more impressive and got a bigger reaction out of me of just staring at the screen like, holy shit, what's gonna happen? Than, seeing the...
This movie keeps giving you hope. It's like, maybe this will have a happy ending. No.
Nay.
Negative. Yeah, we kind of skipped over the shaman.
Yeah, we're gonna go to the shaman now. I thought there's like two exorcism scenes. Mm-hmm. One bigger than the other.
The first one, I was like, is this guy
for real?
yeah. Is he for real? Like, is this guy a what do you call it?
Like a charlatan, or?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if he was for real or not at the beginning.
Artist. Mm-hmm. You know.
I think it's because of how the character was played. Kind of cocky. And like,
yeah, he seems to be knowledgeable, but he's kind of a dick.
Exactly.
He asked for $10,000.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all these little bits of how they're showing his character that you kind of doubt him. Like, is he really doing... Well, towards the end, you get to know that he probably wasn't doing shit. But I like how they put the two ritual scenes alongside the other. Mm-hmm. And
they were intercut.
The scenes, and then you see like it's kind of confusing, that part, though.
Why?
Because it kind of makes you think that the Japanese guy is a good guy. Because you're thinking that what the Japanese is doing is trying to revive
somebody who passed.
Park Chun. I don't remember the character's name.
From the infection.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Who, and then even when you see that what comes out is very like just a foul thing, like a ghoul.
Yeah, like a very Frankensteinish type of zombie. Mm-hmm. Very strong. I was surprised.
Yeah, not even.
Oh, and when he bites the cheek of the deacon. Yeah, exactly. I cringed and just went, oh fuck, oh fuck.
Stop. Yeah. I don't remember if I stopped it then. I was like, oh, I can't. I need to.
I stopped to write that note.
Yeah, I kept stopping to write notes, but that was just an excuse, really, for me to take a break.
I was like, pause. Oh, fuck. Okay, play.
So you just, even then, you just think, oh, it's probably because they stopped him, so it just went horribly wrong. Yeah. Like, you kind of making excuses for what ends up being the villain. And even like the shaman, after you think this guy may be like a con artist or a charlatan, he says things that kind of seem to hold some knowledge. Mm-hmm. I think it's Jung-gu who asks him like, oh, how can a living person be a ghost?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, and he just kind of explains.
Interesting bit of lore.
Mm-hmm.
I also really liked his fishing bait analogy.
Oh, yeah, that was good.
When he was like, why me? And he was like, when you put bait out to go fish, do you know what kind of fish you're going to catch? No, you just catch one.
Yeah.
It's like, yep, that's a really good way of putting it,
yeah,
even though it's
all these people
bullshit.
Were random, and even if it wouldn't have mattered had he gone to disturb the Japanese man or not, mm-hmm. it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether or not anything the shaman says holds any water. I think some of it does. I think that does. Truthful.
Yeah, I don't...
But when he said, like, even amongst other demons, this demon is a master of evil. Mm-hmm. And when I thought the Japanese man was a good guy, and the demon was the woman in white, I thought, okay, I believe that that's a master of evil to do something so horrible to good men. Mm-hmm. Because not only was she tainting the souls of these men who are well-intentioned mm-hmm. by hurting this man, but she ruined this man's life for trying to protect people from evil, mm-hmm. like playing on their fears of the other, of the foreigner.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's where you think the movie is going. Mm-hmm. But then, surprise, bitch.
Yeah. Surprise, you really should build a wall.
Yeah. No. No.
No, you agreed.
No.
I'm cutting out the part where you said no.
No. it's I think that sometimes what the shaman is saying is true. It's just that he's not as well intentioned or as helpful as we think he actually is.
Right.
And yeah, I took notes here about like, oh, is this collective hysteria? But I was wrong. Again.
I really liked the grandma.
Deadly mushroom tonic. Wrong again. The illness was the possession itself. You come to realize.
Yeah, but I really liked the grandma and how she was so ready to go for a supernatural route in protecting the daughter. Mm-hmm. That's a trope that I like in horror movies when it's done well, bringing in the psychic or the shaman when all other methods have failed. And like I said before, especially when it's in a movie like this where everything feels real, when they do that, they set a certain bar for how the supernatural elements have to be. And so when a shaman comes in, it's like, oh, what are they going to say? Like, how do the supernatural elements of this world work? Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because you feel like you're going to get answers to the mystery that's running throughout the whole movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was done well here. And there's like a phrase that didn't make me doubt the shaman, where he says the rat fell into the trap. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And you're
Which
like,
could have meant two things.
It could have meant two things. It could have meant that the demon fell into the trap, like what he was trying to do worked. Mm-hmm. But then in retrospect, it actually means that they fell into the trap. Like, just another one that falls into, another villager.
Yeah.
Consumed by this possession. Man,
and she was... Yeah. I know this more towards the end, but I just made the connection.
I mean, we're reaching the end.
Yeah, we are. But the daughter was sitting on the front stoop of the house after having killed everyone the exact same way he found the first guy in the movie. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah,
that's why I mentioned the wilted flower in the beginning.
Yep.
It really it's the final scene is basically the same as the initial scene.
But if he had waited till that last rooster cry, do you think his family would have survived?
I think maybe.
Maybe.
Because you do see it changing.
I'm a maybe too.
When he
as he crosses because he wavered.
It wilts and it turns how like the flowers that he saw at the beginning of the first murder scene.
Yeah.
And that's when you're like, fuck.
Yeah. And also when he comes in, his wife is still barely alive. Mm-hmm. So it's possible that she was like just killed, which lends credence to the idea that, yeah, maybe if he had waited, something different would have happened. Yeah. I don't see how, but that is what it seems to imply. Mm-hmm. Like, the woman in white seems to be a protector of some sort, but there's like some weird, suspicious stuff about her.
Yeah.
Like, how having the sweater of the woman in the restaurant and how she had his daughter's beret, or whatever that's called.
Oh, it's a pin.
It's a pin. Yeah. I know hair things.
Yeah, because I think he doubts her when he realizes that she's actually not a woman but a ghost.
Yes.
Because she says in the beginning, I'm a woman.
Yeah.
And then when she grabs him, she turns like kind of like the bluish skin that usually is very...
And she becomes very gaunt. She becomes much more like a corpse.
Exactly. So she doubts her because she wasn't exactly truthful.
Which was cool. I really liked this actress too. Mm-hmm. I like when she was approaching the shaman and she was like, what are you doing here? And he just starts vomiting blood. Yeah. And I thought that was so cool. Like, she just seemed so powerful just walking towards him.
Yeah.
And also the way it was spewing out of him, it felt very anime.
Oh. That is true.
Yeah.
But also disgusting. Yeah, I think that she had all these things. It might just be like a ghost collecting trinkets, which I don't.
Like, these are the people that didn't listen? No, but why would she have the daughter's pin?
Or she's just collecting trinkets from the people who have been possessed. Not from who didn't listen, but who had just been possessed. She's like roaming around.
And why was it on the floor, too? Why was it just on the floor?
Fell?
Why was she wearing the sweater?
I feel like I'm missing a piece of folklore here.
Maybe. But also I feel like those are there to cast doubt in your mind.
Exactly.
Like, is she a helper?
I don't think the point is why is she wearing them, is that she is wearing them and you're doubting it.
Yeah.
And that thus you doubt what she's saying. Because she's probably being untruthful and
especially with the shaman in his ear saying, don't let her tempt you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why he turns back, because he realizes she's a powerful being.
And she was convincingly tempting. I was like, yeah, you should listen to her. Don't move. Mm-hmm. Man.
But in the end, you realize that, the demon and the shaman really were on it together. That's the whole thing. That's, yeah.
Okay, but the deacon, he goes back to the Japanese man's house and goes into this little cave.
Where he's at. He's alive.
He's alive. He's fine. Mm-hmm. And he like,
seems beaten up, so you're
the
kinda,
devil. Show me your true form.
Yeah, but he's beaten up enough that you think, oh, maybe he just survived.
Fuck no. Makes no sense.
Well, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, but at the same time, you're still hopeful for things. You still have hope at that point of the movie. And he starts transforming, where he's like, oh,
Well, first they're like turning it on its head. Like he's saying you're the devil, and he's like, okay, well, you already decided I'm the devil, so I can't convince you otherwise. And he's like, no, that's not true. Just show me your true form. Tell me the truth, and I'll leave here. And he goes, who says I'll let you leave? And it's being intercut with the woman in white. But then they cut back to him, and he says, what do you mean by that? And he says, I mean, it's up to you whether or not you want to leave. That doesn't seem like something the devil would say.
Okay.
Although, I don't know.
What you're saying is that it might be that you're seeing, at some point you're seeing things as they are, and then the viewer is seeing things as they are, and things as the deacon sees them. Yeah,
but I'm not sure if there's any other example of that in this movie to support that claim. Other than, this kid has been traumatized and scared out of his wits, but I don't know why we would suddenly be seeing things from his perspective.
No,
When he
I don't know if you know that there's a deleted scene. Have you read about the deleted scene?
No, tell me about it.
Basically, after all this happens, I'm really summarizing from what I read. You see the Japanese man sitting like in a bench, just waiting, and he's by the side of the road, and there's like a woman with her child, and he's like beckoning the child to like give him like give the child a treat, but then the woman like takes the child and retreats back, and then it's like a scene like he doesn't get to touch the child at that point. And then Il Wong, the shaman, drives by and picks him up, and they leave town.
Okay. Yeah, so they're definitely working together.
Yeah, but what I like is that they took out that scene, and I actually like that there's mystery, that you don't know what really is happening.
It is better this way.
It is better, yeah. I agree.
But that transformation, I thought that was so scary. I mean, it just gave me the creeps how, because the Japanese man is talking so calmly, and there's doubt over the idea that there even is a true form. But as he's in this deacon's ear, you know, and, you know, picking up his camera.
With the nails.
Yeah, you see his nails, and it's like, as he removes it, you see the horns, and he's like...
And the red eyes.
He's a beast, and it was like, okay, you asked for this, now I'm giving it to you. And it's like, oh, no! And the kid's reaction is he's shivering, he drops the sickle that he brought to kill him. I don't know, for some reason, that, it just really got to me, how it's so quietly disturbing. And, it's just one of those moments, where's Buffy when you need her? Just, this seems like exactly the kind of thing you need a Slayer for.
Yeah, I don't know, this movie really does keep you on your toes. I guess my final comment is, like, I think that this movie, like, should be dumb on some levels, but somehow it's just really very good.
It feels Twilight Zone-y.
Yeah,
in a
but
way.
Like one of the good episodes.
Yeah, one of the good episodes. Like, the transformation and the way he had red eyes and he was, you know, eating that deer. Like, some of it feels like it could be corny, but the movie around those things just elevates it to when they show up, it feels special.
Yeah, it reminds me of a Twilight Zone episode. I don't remember how it was called, but it's about it's like this guy, I think it's during World War I. That's the time period. And then, like, this guy, I don't remember if it's a soldier that gets into, is it an abbey? I don't really even remember. But he finds out this guy is locked inside, like, a prison cell. And they're not letting him outside, like, letting him go. He seems to be malnourished. And he keeps, like pleading to the guy outside the cell to let him go.
Yeah.
Have you seen that one?
Yeah, I've seen it.
And then he's like, what? Like, he's like, I think he even fights the person who's keeping him there. And then they go like, no, don't let him out. And as soon as they let him out, it turns out it's the devil.
Yep.
In disguise. And I think, and he gets out. And I think it happens like once again at some point, but it basically like, I think it's at the end.
At the end, it shows he captured the devil, and a newcomer is like, "You crazy? You can't keep that man in there."
Yeah, so and then they let him out,
just...
and it kind of it suggests that that's when World War II starts. Like every time he gets, I remember it's like an interbellum period.
I love that.
Yeah, it's it's the idea of the devil in disguise that makes you feel pity, and you let your guard down, and that's how I felt. It makes you think
like, okay, this time it's a good idea, you know?
Yeah. It's funny how the actual priest, at some point he even seems to be the voice of reason, like the Catholic priest seems to be the only voice of reason. But even if he wasn't right, that there was a supernatural element, I did think that it was, even if you look back at it, it feels more as in, just don't meddle in things you don't understand, and which he did, Jung-gu did, even if he didn't mean to. But yeah, I don't know, this movie, you just keep expecting, as we said before, that for things to they would just get better somehow, that it's like even you, it kind of plays on your expectations that they will prevail, like it's a the father-daughter relationship will end up prevailing in the end, and like everything will just be tied in a neat little bow. But it just ends in a very pessimistic note that now things happen. And basically his entire family dies except the girl, and the girl is just beyond, they don't really even tell you if there's a way to reverse that.
But do you think it's his fault? Because
I don't think it's
the woman said because you sinned.
She did say because you sinned, but...
And then he brings up how she got sick before he sinned.
Exactly.
And his sin was apparently blaming the Japanese man without knowing? Was that what she said?
I think so, but at the same time, I'm not sure about that part.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what exactly was his sin.
She had no retort but she got sick before. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and again, it's more likely that it was just like a fishing expedition, and she just fell into the trap.
Yeah.
The rat fell into the trap.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically this makes you doubt everything and anything.
Even myself.
Even myself. You're just as confused as Jong-gu.
Jong-gu. Yeah. So, I don't know. Do you have anything else to say?
I don't. I've never been so tricked by a movie, and so glad that I was.
I like when the shaman is like, you can't stop this magic, and then Jong-gu's like, I'm magic. So yeah, I'm about to number score this, but we're on the Couch Criminals channel. Should we like do anything with that? You know, should we like make up our own scoring system? Like this movie's under arrest. Or this movie gets 6 months and then parole.
Should we do it with this movie? I haven't thought it that far.
Well, this movie is innocent.
Oh. Not guilty.
Case closed. Bang bang. 8 out of 10, I mean.
I would say 9 out of 10.
Oh.
I liked it that much.
For once you're higher than me.
Yeah. That's it, guys. Thanks for listening, and what are we going to review next? Oh, wait. I know. WandaVision. It's coming.
What is that?
WandaVision.
What is that?
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.